So this is Joel, and we are right now in the middle of a very interesting playlist called as the Anatomy of Campus Fabric. So quite a lot has been configured already. So if you have not checked out the rest of the playlist, do check it out to get a better picture. But just to bring you up to speed, what we have done is we have configured the underlay, which is the ISIS protocol. In the overlay, we have configured your Lisp and the VXLAN, right? And we have also done the macro segmentation. We verified the intra VN communication, that is communication within the sales VN and within the IT VN. We also checked out the mobility, right? How mobility is established or achieved in a campus fabric. We have also done the policy plane configuration, which means the micro segmentation, wherein we set up TrustSec, right, in our network, and we kind of used TrustSec to kind of limit access between the hosts or between the clients which are part of the same virtual network. In our case, we tried that with the IT virtual network, right? So the last in the last video, we also entered the fusion magic section, right? Which means we the first part was basically setting up the BGP peerings between the border node and the fusion node, and we did that in the previous video. We set up the complete BGP peering. We obviously we cannot have sub interfaces in case of in case of our CSR100vs. So we achieved this using bridge domains, right? So in this video, we will actually look at how we can connect connect our virtual networks which are here, right? We have the sales and the IT virtual networks, right? So we will look at how we can connect this to the outside world, right, to the internet and to the data center, right? And we'll also play with the permissions, right? For example, for the IT virtual network, we are going to give complete access, right, to the data center, whereas for the sales virtual network, we'll give access only to the DHCP server and not to the Active Directory AD over here, right? So this is some cool stuff which we are going to explore in this video. Cool. Now that with that context in mind, let's proceed. So now comes the very interesting part. So what we have done till now, we have just established BGP here, and we have created the VRFs on the Fusion as well, so that all the routes from or basically we have kind of established a bridge here, right? But still, what the main problem which we have right now is, let me just go back to drawing it, right? So the problem what we have right now, which we have to solve, is we have this so we have this fusion guy, we've got the border guy, right? We have created the VRFs, which is good. So we have created VRF IT, we have created VRF what? The other one is your sales, and we also have the global routing table, right? So we have created these two guys, and the third one is the global routing table which we have, right? Now, what is our intention? What is our final outcome? What is our final outcome is, imagine this is the IT and we have the IT clients here, right, or the IT traffic. So the IT traffic which comes here, it is going to go to this VRF, but from there we should somehow have a mechanism to go out to the internet, and all the services are right now in the global routing table, right? We have DHCP, we have Active Directory, we have internet connectivity, everything in the global routing table. So naturally, what should we do? We should do some kind of a leaking, right? This guy should be able to leak here into the global routing table and go out, right? And similarly, from the global routing table, we should be able to come inside, right? So there should be some kind of a door which has to be opened here, right? Go that side and come this side, right? Same thing for the other guy as well. I don't have enough colors here, but the same thing should happen even for the sales. The sales traffic should go out, right, through the global routing table, and you should be able to come inside as well, right? So we have to do that, and that can be done using with the what should be done using your leaking between the VRF and the global routing table. All right. So and also one more thing is, I probably forgot mentioning here. Let me just clear the screen again, just make a little bit of a better diagram people to get it. So sorry, scrap that. Okay, so we've got the fusion, we've got the border, and I forgot the other guy here. So we have three guys over here, right? one is your IT, one is your sales, and in the global routing table, we remember we have that AP VLAN. This is the global routing table, right? So we want all the three guys, right, to be able to, I don't know, maybe talk outside, get connectivity and all of that, right? So what we'll do now is we'll work our way from, we'll work our way upwards, which means, first we'll take this guy, right, and we'll give him connectivity, which is the global routing table. We will give global routing table connectivity to what? To my enterprise network, right? I have my enterprise network here, which is the DHCP, which is the Active Directory, and also have the internet here, right? So we'll work our way upwards. First we'll do this guy, second we'll do probably IT, third we'll do probably sales, right? So we have to work our way upwards and provide connectivity, one by one here, right? So let me hide that and let's go and work. Let's do our global routing table first. Okay, so the thing here is now, the global routing table, actually we don't have to do any much work, because the global routing table, if you let's go back to my border router here, show IP route, right? Show IP route. See, I already have my my border is already getting the default route from the Fusion, and it is also, because it is getting the default route, right? I basically don't have to do anything, literally I don't have to do any leaking, right? Because if you look at this diagram again, let's go back to this diagram, right? For this step number 1, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the global routing table, or the AP VLAN, which is in the global routing table, to talk to the DHCP and Active Directory or internet, which is also in the global routing table on the other side, right? This is also nothing but global routing table itself, right? This one right now, these both services are where? In the global routing table, right? So literally you don't have to do any leaking because of the BGP neighborship which we have established, right? This, whatever this subnet is here, 192.168.10.0, will be able to talk to these guys, and let's verify that. So to verify that, let's go to probably AP1, right? One of the APs, right? See, okay, the AP is back. Let's check on this AP. What do we have? What is the IP address? Show IP interface brief, right? There you go. Let's quickly check if you are able to ping the default gateway. Cancel. What is happening? Okay, there you go. We are able to ping the default gateway. So now let's ping the DHCP. What is the DHCP? 172.16.255.10. So let's ping that guy. So it's 172.16.255 dot 10, right? Let's try that. Couple of pings will be lost. Yeah, there you go, right? We have connectivity, right? So this is what I was telling. Now the traffic is basically going from my what is happening? The traffic is going from my fabric going to the border, right? And on the border, the traffic is getting decapsulated, right? It is no more VXLAN. The VXLAN traffic gets decapsulated on the border, and on the border we already have a default route towards the Fusion. So traffic is coming to the Fusion, and the Fusion already knows about the DHCP, so the traffic is going here. Similarly, in the reverse direction from the DHCP, the traffic will come to the Fusion. On the Fusion, I have a route which I have learned because of the BGP that says that 192.168.10.0 can be reached via the border. So the traffic comes to the border, and once it comes to the border, the border is part of the Lisp domain, so it knows how to reach the client, which is AP1, right? So that is the complete path, how it is working. We can also probably check if you are able to access internet, right? We can do ping 4.2.2.2. Right, there you go, right? Very similar. Instead of what we did just now is that instead of the Fusion send the traffic to a DHCP, it instead sent the traffic to the NAT gateway. So traffic went out to the internet, came back from the internet. From the Fusion, again the traffic was sent down to the border, and from there it came to AP1, right? So our what we set out to do, step number 1 is done, right? This guy is done, which is let me just clear the screen a bit. Yeah, so we are done with step number 1, which is granting the AP VLAN, which is in the global routing table. We have granted the internet and the DHCP service. Second step, which is my IT. So for IT, what I want to do is, because IT folks, they really need to have access to everything, right? So I'm going to go ahead and provide the access to both these services. Which are the services? To both my DHCP AP as well as my internet, right? So in fact, 3 services to be specific, right? So we have 3 services here, 1, 2 and 3. And for my second, which is going to be what we are doing now, this one, right? I want to provide access to this as well as I want to provide the access to this guy, right? And for that, obviously we have to do some kind of route leaking or VRF leaking, because IT is a VRF, whereas here this is in the global routing table. So on the Fusion, we'll have to do some kind of leaking so that traffic from the IT goes to global routing table, and from global routing table traffic comes back to the IT VRF. So let's check how we do that. All right, so since we want everything, all the routes or everything in the global routing table to be sent to the VRF, which is the IT VRF, this is going to be simpler for us. Let me just hide this. So let's go to the border, right? Very similar, right? What we did, we have done this probably before in MPLS, L3 VPN and stuff. So I think it's going to be simpler, right? So step number 1, create that prefix list. Let's go to IP prefix list. I don't know, maybe let's call this as any, because we want everything to be kind of shared. Sequence, I don't know, 5 permit 0.0.0/0, basically everything. Maybe we can put a less than equal to 32, right? The subnet mask. So literally everything basically in the global routing table, I'm matching through this. Then we'll create the route map. So we'll say route map default, not default. We want to create what? This route map is going to help us import the routes into the IT VRF. So let's call it as import IT, right? Import into IT is what I mean by it. And let's call permit probably permit 10 maybe, right? Match IP address, right? Let's give a prefix list, and it's going to be, what is a prefix list? This one, the one which we just now created. There we go. So our route map is ready. Okay, so if our route map is ready, what should we do next? So we have to import this, import it into VRF. So let's go to that. So what VRF definition do we have around? Show run VRF, which is the VRF IT. Let's look at what we have in IT. Okay, so this is what we have in the IT VRF. So this is where we have to change. So let's go inside VRF definition and all of that, right? So let me grab that. Give me a second. Yeah, so let's go to the VRF definition IT. Let's go inside this guy. Let's go inside this address family, which is IPv4. And here we'll have to do that import route map, which we just now created, right? Import, I think it is IPv4 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, IPv4. Yeah, v4, unicast map, and we'll have to put the route map which we just now defined, which is, where is the name? Import IT. Yeah, there you go. My bad. Okay, once again, let me copy that again. There you go, and awesome, sweet. So that should be it, guys. So what we did, just to recollect, we created a route map which will match all the traffic from the global routing table, and we imported, that one inside my VRF, right? Will that do the job? Let's verify, right? Let's go back to the Fusion router now. Let's do show IP BGP, probably VPN v4, right? Console IP. Okay, show IP BGP VPN v4, which is the VRF IT. Let's look what we have. There you go. Can you see the leaked routes now? Right, I can see my 255, 254, and I can also see my default gateway. The default route as well. Right, we can also check this on the border side. Right, see, there was an output here from the previous, right? This output earlier it was 0, but I think we should see something different now. Let's just take the same command and let's dump it here. Yeah, there you go, right? So now for this guy, you see, we have something, right? We have received some prefix, okay, and that's basically going to be the default route which we would have, kind of received, right? So that's something. Give me a second here. Yeah, I'm back. So yeah, that's basically what we are basically received the routes now in my IT VRF, right? You can also check, probably if you want, we can do show VRF just to check all our interfaces, everything is good. Yeah, so this is IT VRF, so looks good. So now let's verify, if this works. So how do we verify this? We need to make sure that our IT clients have connectivity to AD, to my DHCP, and also to the internet. Let's check that. So let's go to probably one of the IT hosts, maybe IT1, host 1. Right, let's clear the screen a bit. Let's say this ping 172.16. First, let's ping the default gateway. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's check if DHCP server is reachable, which is in my data center. 172.16.255.10. It's not gonna work. Why? Because we have just done in one direction, right? So we have leaked the global routing table routes into my my VRF has the routes, right? But we also have to do it in the opposite direction, right? What I mean by that is my VRF knows the routes, my global routing table here. Let's go to my Fusion, right? So my VRF, which is VRF IT, knows about all these routes, right? My DHCP, my default gateway, and all of that. But my global routing table, show IP route, doesn't know about it, right? 172.16.10.0 is not here. As a result, traffic, from the global routing table, right? Global routing table, once the traffic goes here, let's go back to the diagram, right? The traffic is going from IT to the global routing table in one direction, but the return traffic, we don't have anything. So we need to leak that as well, from the global routing table to the VRF. So how do we do that? That's pretty simple again, right? So let's do that. So let's go to the Fusion, and what we are going to do is we'll put couple of leaking routes here. We're going to say IP route and 172.16.10.0. This is the subnet, right? This is our IT subnet. So we are going to say any traffic to this subnet .0, right? Send it where? Send it to this bridge domain interface which we have, right? Corresponding to that guy, right? We have the bridge domain interface 100, right? So we are basically dumping all the traffic destined for this particular subnet on the bridge domain interface 100, which is part of VRF IT, right? We can give some name if you want. We can say VNIT or something, right? So that is one step. The other one is we also need to, there is one more, let me show you. So do show IP interface brief, right? So BDI 100. So we also need to kind of leak this particular route as well, this network, right? Because global routing table doesn't even know about the BDI 100, right? Because this particular BDI 100 is part of VRF IT. So we'll leak that one as well. So we're going to say IP route, and what is this network? This network, you can call it as 10.1.1.12, right? 255.252, right? So that's going to be that network, and we are basically going to leak that one as well, right? So that the global routing table knows about this subnet as well. So if there is any packet to this guy, it is going to dump it on this interface, right? And the name, we can give the same name what we used here, which is the VNIT, right? So now we have, let's check it what they just now did. Show run include route. What we just now did was, let's see, hope we did it right, because we leaked from the VRF to the global routing table before, right? So but then the reverse direction from the global routing table, how do you reach the VRF? That is something which we did just now, right? So there you go. These are the two lines which we added, right? One is for the subnet, one is for the IT subnet, and the other one is for the bridge domain interface, basically, you know, the bridge domain interface which is here, which was created especially for, you know, for IT, right? So that one. So we have leaked both of them. Now let's go back to our IT host and let's check now if this works. There you go, right? My IT now has connectivity to what? DHCP server. Let's check Active Directory. Do I have access to Active Directory? Yes, I do. There you go, right? Let's check if I have access to internet. Do I? Yes, I do. Right? Pretty simple, right? So this is how the packet flow works, right, for this guy. Because the fabric edge sitting here decides that or understands that this destination, what you're trying to reach out, is not part of the fabric, right? So the map server will send a negative map reply, right, whenever this guy is querying. So the edge will query the map server saying, hey, I want to reach 172.16.255.0, but map server is going to say, look, I don't have that IP, right? It's not part of the fabric domain, so please send it to the border, right? In our case, the border and the control are the same, so the traffic will be sent to the border. Border is going to decapsulate the traffic, and border knows that, you know, in its routing table, it knows how to, it has a default route towards the fusion, so it is going to send to the fusion, and the fusion is then going to either send it to DHCP or AD or to the internet, and then, you know, the reverse also happens the very similar way, right? The traffic once comes to the border, and on the border we have configured this guy to be a proxy ITR, so it's going to attract all the traffic towards the fabric, right, towards itself. And once it comes to the border is going to query the control node. In this case, it is the same device, and it is going to understand where 172.16.10.10 is sitting, which is behind edge 1, so it is going to forward the traffic here, right? Pretty straightforward, if I might say, right? So that was the second use case. What do we do in the third use case? Let's go back here. Let's clear the screen. The third use case is pretty interesting, and you will understand something really fun here. So with the third use case, what we want to do is, which is my sales device here, right? My sales device. So what I want to do is, I want to establish a little bit of what you say, I want to do something slightly different here. My sales people are really, I want to give them access to one, which is DHCP, but not to AD. And probably also to internet, right? Because my sales guys, I don't want them to go and tinker with the AD, right? Active Directory. I don't want them to do that. I want them to just access what? DHCP and the internet, and not the Active Directory. And that's what we are going to establish now, right? Hope the use case is clear. Okay. All right, to do that, what we'll do is, let's go back to my Fusion. Let's clear the screen. Just to recap what, so that I don't forget, show run include, let's do, include prefix, right? I want to see all the prefix lists which I have, right? There you go. So I have prefix list already for what? I have it for any, which is basically my, that's basically for, sorry, I have it for which one? Give me a second. Yeah, so I have, this one was I have created for my, I created while configuring BGP, right? So this is something which I already have, and this is what we did previously, right? So now let's go ahead and create one more prefix list, right? We'll create one more prefix list, because now we, like I said, we need to give the access to only DHCP and not of Active Directory, right? So we'll have to create something specific to that. So I'm going to say IP prefix list. Let's call this as shared, right? Let's say shared, okay? And sequence, probably, I don't know, maybe 5. Permit. What is the subnet which I want to permit, or which I want these guys to access? It's 172.16.255.0, right? /24, maybe less than 32, right? So this is the subnet which I want them to access. So I've created a prefix list with that. Now let's create a route map. Now observe this route map. It's very interesting. So route map, I'm going to say import to where? Sales, right? Import to sales. So I'm just giving a name, making it intuitive. Permit 10 match, match IP address, right, and prefix. Okay, prefix list. So the prefix list here, what I'm gonna do is, right, I'm gonna use the shared prefixes which I just now created, but then I also told you that my salespeople should be able to access the internet, right? So I can reuse this prefix list which I created earlier, the default one, because in order to access the internet, right, the network which has to be advertised inside the sales VRF is this one, 0.0.0/0, right? Basically the traffic which is matching the default route, right? So I have to advertise this. So I'll basically take this one and put it here. Sweet. So I have now, advertised two routes into my sales VRF, and that way my sales guys will have access only to internet or this one, which is DHCP. Let's verify that. But before verifying, obviously we have to go and do that stuff which we do normally, which is do show run sorry, not interface, VRF and sales. Okay, so we just need to go and change here. Okay, my bad, yeah, that's correct. So let's go inside the VRF sales, right? So inside the VRF sales, let's put the import statement, import IPv4 unicast map, and we'll have to import this guy. Where is the name which we just now created? It is import sales. Let's take this one, let's import it like this, right? Makes sense? Okay, so I'm happy with this. With this, we should be able to now check what is happening. So let's check this. So where do we check? We'll check it on the Fusion itself. We'll do show IP BGP VPN v4, right? VRF, which VRF are we talking about here? Or we can simply do show IP route VRF sales, right? There you go. So we've got the default route here, and we have the 172.16.255.0. we don't have the 254, right? If I just change this sales to IT, you should see the 254 as well, right? There you go, right? So we have the 254 as well. All of this is happening because of that prefix list, right? When we leaked routes from the global routing table into VRF IT, we basically told leak everything. But now in this case, we are not leaking everything. We are leaking only two specific things. One is this one, and the other one is this one. Got it? Pretty straightforward. So now let's quickly verify if what we did is correct, right? So let's give me a second. Oh, before I forget, remember we made that mistake before. We did not do the return path. So let's do the return path as well and then verify it, right? So for the return path, pretty simple. So let's leak the 172.16.20.0, right? So let's do this one, right? So 172.16.20.0, and the BDI is 101, and the other one which we need to leak is which one? For sales, it's going to be, let's check the interface. I've forgotten the interface. Or actually it's here. Is it? Let me just check. Do show IP interface brief. I believe it's this one, 101. So it is 10.11.16 network, right? This is 18, so the network is going to be 16. So let's do that. Let's leak that one as well. There you go. Awesome. So we have leaked it in the reverse direction as well. So our routes from the global routing table are inside the VRF sales, and from the VRF, so from the VRF we know how to go to the global routing table, and because of this explicit leaking, we also know how to go from the global routing table to our VRF as well. So now technically it should work. So let's go to one of the sales host, which is here, right? Let's ping the sales host gateway first. Ping 172.16.20.1. Okay, that works. So now let's go and ping the default gateway, sorry, the DHCP server 172.16.255.10. or we will take a couple of drops. Yeah, there you go, that worked. But what will not work? We'll not be able to ping Active Directory, because that is how it is expected. See, we are getting a we're not able to ping the Active Directory, and that's expected. Are we able to reach the internet? Yes, it should work. So let's try that. There you go, right? Able to reach internet. So we have achieved what we set out to do, didn't we?